everybody. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who is watching the live stream right now and everybody who is watching the replay. I appreciate every single one of you guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started today with the truth about Black tech conferences. So yesterday I had a live stream where I was talking about the Black Manosphere Conclave. And it initially didn't start out like that. I was just responding to a video from Ramil Amir. This is another video from Ramil Amir, but it is to show one example of the Black tech conferences, right? If you guys don't know, I go to a lot of conferences pretty often, go to a lot of events relating to tech. I'm a data engineer, been a data engineer for coming up to 6 years now. And I have some experience in the industry, and I have experience with going to tech conferences that are inclusive of everybody, and then also we have tech conferences which are which have a Black person spin to it, or Black people spin to it. And one of the things that I have always heard about Black tech conferences, or tech conferences in general, is that the money is made through the sponsors. Okay, so that's how the money is pretty much made. You do make money from the ticket sales and stuff like that, but it is important to understand that without the sponsors, your tech conference will not grow. Okay, and yesterday when we discussed Obsidian and Ramil Amir's interview, Obsidian said that the goal for the Black Manosphere Conclave was to get 300 Black men into IT positions, and of course making 6 figures. Everybody is so obsessed about 6 figures, and as another point, everybody's so obsessed about it, but in reality it takes some time to be able to get up to 6 figures, even with experience, with a degree, with certifications. All that stuff is nice, but it really comes down to a lot of different factors. And I will I created a spreadsheet that I'll show you guys later on in the live stream to show how a lot of these companies make hiring decisions. We also had Gabe Bay come up on the previous live stream as well, where he is an actual hiring manager, and he explained how the people who he interviews, he's been interviewing for a long time, and he interviews pretty often. He said he had like over 10 interviews within this year, and it's just February at the time of this recording. And he said that the people who've been presented to him are people who have degrees, and they're either brand new into the industry, fresh out of college, and or somebody who's making a career switch. Okay. So that is essentially what an actual hiring manager says about the hiring processes of a very large company. And the overall goal, if you're trying to get 300 Black men into a IT position, you have to take those types of things into account. Like, what is the competition, and is the things that you're teaching at these tech conferences actually going to be helpful for people to get into these positions? Okay, so we're going to be going over it, and overall we want to discuss the trust that a tech conference or an event in general has to have with not only the sponsors, but then also the community that attends them, so the audience. And then also we have to talk about the trust that companies who may send their talent or their employees to the event or conference. Do they trust that this is going to be able to help upskill or reskill them into getting being more valuable for the business? Okay, and I asked 2 people. So I asked Christian Hutchinson, yesterday about whether or not if he would feel comfortable paying as a sponsor to go to the Black Manosphere Conclave. And then he also talked about, would you feel comfortable as an employer sending your employees to the Black Manosphere Conclave? And he said no to both. Right? We talked to Gabe A, who's the hiring manager I spoke of earlier. He also said the same thing. If he's a sponsor, if he was a company, he probably would not send his employees or send his money to that type of event, and simply because it just lacked focus on only tech. We want to be able to make sure that we get those 300 black men into IT positions. This is what we need to be talking about. Whenever I go to these events, they hone in on specific things within tech, things that can help a business. When I went to SQL Saturday the other day in Alpharetta, Georgia, they were talking about Power BI, data visualization. They were talking about how to be a project manager or product manager, and the differences between that and change management. They talked about different tracks, but all relating to business and tech, and how can you provide more value to a business. Okay, so that's essentially what I was learning. But then from what I heard is that at the conclave, they talked about a whole bunch of other things, such as like fitness. They talked about cane self-defense. They talked about women in relationships and dating. And it seemed to be just so unrelated to each other. You may gain value from some of those particular topics, but it's not a focused thing that people can get behind and be able to promote. So let me go ahead and give a huge shout out to number one moderator Gail at Night. I appreciate you for tuning in. Let me go ahead and give you the number one spot. Coming for that number one spot. Thank you so much, Gail, for tuning in. And then we also got DC. Appreciate you for tuning in, bro. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this video. I first want to give a disclaimer is that this video is not to bash anyone or to talk down on anybody and their like person or character or anything like that. But I do want to kind of highlight some things that I noticed from this interview that happened last night. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and then we can go ahead and get into this video. Later on, I'll go into further about the hiring processes as well. And I will also drop the link if anybody is interested in joining in. So let me see. There we go. So here we have the video from last night. And if you guys don't know, the person who's in the thumbnail and then also who is being interviewed here, his name is Theo Wolf. I've seen him. I've spoken to him before on Bernard Riley's stream before, and we were just talking strictly about tech. I know that we were talking about him in the previous live stream when Obsidian was bringing him up, and Obsidian said that he believes Theo spent $250,000 plus, specifically on the Black Manosphere. But later on, you'll see Theo says it's around 80 something thousand. So Obsidian was off on the number there, and Theo will also kind of debunk a few things that Obsidian said in the previous live stream, such as the amount of students he currently has that he has taught, and then also the amount of students he's currently teaching as well. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Hey, I appreciate you coming through, man. I let you come up because your name was brought up the other day, and I mean, I didn't mean to put you on blast, but I mean that's a huge investment. That just caught me off guard when he said that, because I thought he was going to say like 10, 20 grand. I'm not trying to pocket watch either, but he just that number is just crazy in my opinion. But go ahead, man. You got the floor. But
You were
anyway,
actually correct when I was watching parts of it. So you had the $80,000 number, which was actually correct. So what I've spent out of pocket is around $80,000. When when we're talking about opportunity costs, the amount of time that I put into it, yeah, that's when we get into a much larger number. But we're
around a
talking
quarter
about
million.
yeah, but that would be like time lost, the amount of time that I put into the students and things like that, individual consultations, but that's not actually cash. So I mean,
Well, time is
um,
money as well. Time is
yeah,
money.
yeah. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about actual cash flow. Now it's about 83,000 dollars something so far. And now the conclave is self-sufficient. I didn't have to spend any money for a conclave 3. So I didn't spend a dime. So it's self-sufficient. It's running. It's doing very well. I'm not looking to recoup. That's not the goal. The goal is to get these students. So I have over 50 students who each are earning an additional $100,000 a year minimum in additional income doing cloud. So yeah, I'm doing it right. This is I have no problems with how I'm conducting myself in the Manosphere Conclave so far. I think it's done correctly.
Okay.
All right. Before he moves on, so as you saw, Theo did give a clarification on the amount of money that he spent and the clarification of the amount of students that he has as well. Now, when he talks about he has 50 students who all have $100,000 an extra income. So not like not their only income, they have an additional $100,000 doing cloud, something in cloud, right? So they are all doing something in cloud that makes them $100,000 in addition to whatever else income they have. Um, Now, with this number, it's pretty hard to believe that they are still students and then also making an extra $100,000. I mean, after I've been taught how to make an extra $100,000, I'll be like, okay, cool. I don't really, need to continue on learning from Theo per se, unless I'm trying to like scale to the next level, I guess. But at a certain point, you already learned cloud, you're already working in the industry, you're already making $100,000 a year. So, you know, I don't know if and he doesn't really explain, were they making the $100,000 solely because of his teachings, or was it because they already had some experience, or they already had like certifications or um, college degrees? There's a lot of missing context in this statement. He just says he has 50 people making $100,000 extra. So they must be making $100,000 before that, and then they're making an extra $100,000, most likely through like overemployment or something like that. That's the only way I can think that somebody will be making an additional $100,000. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who tuned in as well. JBWR, appreciate you coming in. NC Worker and NJ, appreciate you guys.
Cool. Where now I do gotta ask this.
Mhm.
Where are these students? Like, are they like? Do they make testimony? I'm just curious because I mean I know you got the skills. I know you got everything. I'm just saying, but where like I haven't like where are they? Do they just dip? Like I haven't heard like from any of them.
Are you there?
Huh?
Okay, I'm here. I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah. Where are these students at? Like like where are these students at?
They're all over the world. I have.
All right, so before he moves on, remember that one part. They're all over the world. So we'll get back to that, because when I was looking at the Black Manosphere Conclave, I remember it having a you have to be Republican spin to it. So if they're all over the world, I think he's talking about his students per se, but not specifically the conclave. The conclave, I do remember it being Republican or having that political spin to it. but I don't know if he's just saying his students in general from all over the world. Because if somebody's living in a totally different country, it means absolutely nothing that they are Republican or not.
I have students in from South Africa to Thailand, Japan, London, Colombia, Brazil, lots in the States, East Coast, a lot of East Coast guys, UK, Canada.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, I mean, like I said, I didn't. I mean, like I don't have no, you know, no ill will. I was just Obsidian did say a quarter million, and that was just to me, and then it's kind of. I mean, everybody has reasons for what they want to do.
Mhm.
And you say you're not looking to recoup, so this is not a business.
No,
This is like philanthropy. Then it's not a business.
it's changing the narrative. That's the goal. And I've been very successful in changing the narrative with my group so far. And this is only going to continue. So I'm trying to
Right here, I think that's a good question that Ramil asked. He says, if you're not trying to recoup the money, are you trying to be like a non-profit in this standpoint? Now, I don't know how they're filing it or whatever it is, but yeah, that's essentially what it sounds like. It sounds like it's some like I can throw this money down the drain without making it back. So it doesn't sound like real business per se, because the intention of business or why people go into business is to make money. Um, and and when you talk about nonprofits, then maybe it's to make a change. So yeah, Theo is it seems more so like that's what he's getting at.
get 300 men, black men, into IT. And I've got over 50 right now, so it's going to take me a while longer. I wish it were faster. I've taught over 400 students so far, and so I'm currently teaching around 120. They're in the pipeline, whereas 50 have actually already gotten the jobs. So I mean, if I can get out of that 120 that I currently have, if I can get 80 of them into jobs before the next conclave, that would be perfect. So that's what
Okay.
I'm
Do you
working
have
on.
you have any openings now or
What do you mean opening? I mean, like
any
for
for the next?
classes?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm teaching GCP and Microsoft security starting the first week of March. But for AWS, which is my biggest class, which is where that's where the biggest job opportunities are. That's only for the conclave. So you have to attend the conclave first, and then I take you after that. The reason I have the conclave, the establisher, Obsidian alluded to this. One of the big reasons why I do this is so I can meet you in person to see what kind of student you are and actually talk with you. And the students who actually attend the conclave, they are more likely to actually pass and like not only pass my course, but actually get certifications and actually get jobs. So I have over 100 black men who have passed at least one AWS certification. I have around 80 of them who have at least two. And it's a weekly basis. We're having new guys getting certed. So again, if you usually they attend the conclave or they attend the meetup, either one if you want to call it, those guys get certed and they become more successful. The guys who are pure remote, especially in other countries, they have a bit more of a difficult time actually getting the job, and they're more likely to drop out. So that's why I try to get you actually into the conclave and meet in person, actually meet people. It,
Okay.
it
So
works
let me ask you this. Let me ask
a
you this.
bit
So
better.
because that was one of the matter of fact, that's a good thing you brought up because one of the things I seen when Obsidian brought you up and he was talking about the classes. One of the criticisms I heard was that, well, why do they have to go through the red pill or the manosphere to get to you? And you just said because you wanted to meet them in person and so that you can vet
Mhm.
them pretty much. And so my question to that would be, what if somebody wanted to learn from you and it wouldn't and they're in the states but they just don't agree with the manosphere slash red pill stuff but they really want to learn from you, is that a possibility to get in one of your classes without going through the red pill filter, or do they have to go through that filter?
Yeah, it's impossible. I won't teach them. Straight out. You have to be red pill. You have to
Oh
demonstrate red pill. You also have to I'm here. Can you hear me?
no, I'm here. I actually
You have
respect it. You
okay.
direct. I respect that. You said yeah. You said fuck that. You got to be red pill. Okay. No
Yeah,
slugs.
I'm not
Okay.
even dealing with someone who's blue pill. If there's a direct question, I said, are you red pill or blue pill? And if they say blue, I ban them from the group and I ban them from my profile. It's done. It's I have no mercy for them. Basically, I look at their lives, I look at how they're making comments, and I evaluate them. I got guys coming on like to do interviews. Like, in order to join the class, so you actually have to go through an interview process with me. I got guys
You got to do the
coming in who,
conclave and the interview. You got to do the conclave
yeah,
and the interview. Okay.
yeah,
Word,
I want to see who these people are. So, I got guys like, okay, so he doesn't appear, only his girlfriend appears.
All right, before Theo goes off, let's talk about some of the things he just said. So not only do you have to meet him in person, imagine if in order to be taught by somebody remotely, most likely, or I say this right, talking specifically about the conclave, in order for Theo to teach you, he has to meet you in person and interview you to make sure that you think the same way as him. He's going to look at your life, look at the comments that you make, and he's going to then vet you and or assess whether or not if he thinks that you're worthy for his teachings. And we'll go into a little bit further as well about how that is. It doesn't really make much sense because the majority of the events or the conferences, conclaves, whatever that you may go to, it's not like you have to meet the owner of the event in person beforehand and he has to figure out whether or not if you were cool. So it just seems unprofessional. Let's continue on.
Appears. I'm like, nope, you're out. I got guys who come in who can't make a decision, who can't like decide what book to buy. I say, why do you want to study IT? What's your goal? And they have no goal at all. They're just kind of floating around. And I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time with you if you don't have any idea of why you're actually doing this. I don't want your money. I don't want your time. You're just going to make the class worse. So figure out what you want to do and then come back and talk to me. And that's, again, I'm rather strict on this. There's a lot of, what we don't want is the Pookie to come in and do a class disruption. I've had it more than once, and I have to do.
So you had a Pookie infiltrate and
yeah. Oh yeah, it's a death sentence. Once I identify you as a Pookie, you're gone. So I.
All right. So about this Pookie thing. So if he doesn't like you, essentially, if he sees that you don't believe the same thing that he does, because how do you assess that somebody is a Pookie or not? You know, it doesn't really make much sense to say, oh, you know what? Hey, you're a Pookie. I know the goal is to get 300 black men into tech, but you have to know the reason why you even want to take the class before you even take the class. You can't also be from a bad environment and trying to make a better life for yourself because he thinks that you can make the class worse. So it's a lot of judgment at the end of the day. I think that's essentially what's going on is unprofessionalism and discriminatory behavior. If you say, hey, you'll make the class worse if you're a Pookie, and I don't want that. Now I can understand, hey, you know, I don't want any disruptions in the class, like you know, you going out of line and you having some rules. I understand that, being respectful of others, but if he thinks that you're a Pookie or you're not red pill, and then also just like I said earlier, then also Gabe brought it up yesterday in the previous live stream, is that they had the spin of the political being a Republican. So you had to be a Republican as well, a red pill person, and then also already know exactly the reason why you want to take his conclave or course or whatever it is. Then he's not going to deal with you. He'll ban you from the group, so you can't even like gain insight from the people. But then also he'll ban you from his profile, so you can't really ask him any questions as well. So, if you're trying to make a better life for yourself and he doesn't like you, essentially that's what's going to happen. He'll ban you.
Design the class so that you have got to think and you have to participate and you actually have to work with other people. And if you have any kind of blue pill mentality, you have like any gynocentric, any kind of BS like that, you're like, I want to study with you, like with me or something like that. I'm like, look, there's a lot of places to go study. You got boot camps, you got Udemy, you got other places to go study. That's for you. This is a place for red pill men, red pill black men in particular. I've had a few non-black people in the class. So if you're white, I will interview you.
Why did they get an exception? Why did they get an exception?
I give them. What I do is I ask them, why should I allow you in the class? Who are you, and why should I allow you in? And they have to give me a good pitch. So far, they've given me good pitches. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll let you in. As long as they, pretty much, as long as they observe the Black Manosphere, they understand why we're here and what our purpose is. I'm good. And usually they're all Kevin Samuels fans. So I'm like, all right, I have no problem with that. They tend to all be passport bros, and they all tend to be married, to be honest. So,
all right, so you have to, and it keeps getting a little bit more slippery, right? He's like, yeah, I want to get 300 black men into tech or an into IT position, and I'll also interview people of other races, or specifically white men, and they have to observe the black manosphere, know what it is, also be red pill Republican, and then also I have to meet them in person, interview them. They, just like how JBWR says, he says they have to be red pilled, and the majority of them are married, right? Which doesn't make much sense, because if you're married and red pill, that means that you're a purple pill, right? That's how it was explained to me. Red pill meaning, if for the people who don't understand what red pill is, red pill essentially is understanding female nature, right? Understanding the realities of what it's like to be a man, and dating women, understanding their behavior, right? So that's essentially what it is, and knowing how to move in different situations. Blue pill meaning, hey, I just want, essentially a blue pill person is a simp. So, if you know what a simp meaning that, you'll allow women to treat you any kind of way with no reciprocation, right? So you'll spend all your money on her, but she won't do anything for you. Essentially, what that is. There's other definitions for it. It goes pretty deep with the red pill knowledge and blue pill knowledge, but essentially that's what it is. So also, I have Keep It Techie in the back. Let me let him up right quick, and then we can cook. Hey, Keep It Techie, can you hear me? Let me see. Okay, he's muted. Okay, cool. What I'm going to do, Keep It Techie, is I am going to share my screen. Okay. So that way, I'm going to play this part, and then I'm almost done. And then we can go ahead and you can give your commentary on it as well.
No problem.
All right. So let's go ahead and continue on with this part.
So, okay, I'll let him in.
Is Obsidian losing his YouTube? Is that going to affect the funnel?
I don't know. So I'm seeing the situation right now. It is February. So I am, of course, I do communicate with a lot of other channels, and I do talk about the class with other places. But I gotta admit, Obsidian is a major part of this, and so it is something that I'm watching with my eyes very much open. But as it is right now, we have the most people like registering for the conclave that we've ever had, like this early. It's a record number. So I'm not that worried about it in the end. A lot of this is the conclave is usually word of mouth. So it's other students recommending the conclave to go, or people have gone to the conclave previously. They usually recommend it to other people, and that's how we get our numbers.
Word of
So
mouth, word of mouth.
yeah, word of mouth.
Okay. Well,
So
no,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
good. No, no, that's how we're surviving. That's how I'm making it happen. So I promote it every once in a while, but to be honest, most of the time I'm in these classes teaching to death, and so um, that's how that works.
Why don't
International
you start a
passport?
channel and start
No,
funneling?
no. I know what you guys do. I know you guys work very hard to make content. I don't have time for that.
I don't know. This
Um,
ain't really that hard.
I have a lot of work. I work with companies. I have a lot of IT work that I'm doing. I'm very busy most of the time.
Oh,
So even right now, like I was on YouTube and your channel popped up. I'm sitting here doing like Cisco migration work from a data center over to the cloud. So I'm actually making a proposal right now as I'm sitting here late at night. It's past 1 o'clock, and that's why I saw you pop up. I need to be doing this kind of work. This is where I excel. I'm not a content creator. That's
okay.
not for me.
Okay, bet. Well, I gotta ask you a couple more. Oh, what about these passport bros getting drugged? These passport bros.
All right. So he goes on to talk about Passport Bros after this. There is another part later on where Theo talks about how he wants to like I want to say like buy a condo and then have other Passport Bros go in to the condo and they have to learn Spanish and learn about tech and they have to uh, pretty much follow the rules of whatever he sets in order to essentially live their lives. He looks down on the other Passport Bros who go to other countries for like a week or two for short periods of time, while he says a real Passport Bro is somebody who stays overseas and they have no plans on coming back. Um, so I'm not gonna go too far into that point, but I did find it interesting how he wanted people to be red pills, but he allowed white men to be taught by him who are married and then also passport bros. I don't know how. I guess they married overseas, but then also come into the states in order to attend a conclave in person. I believe that's how it works. But keep it techie. How are you doing today, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, thanks for
So
letting me up, man. I
yeah, no
appreciate it.
problem, no problem at all, man. So I have a question for you. So when
Go
it
ahead.
comes to this, Black Manosphere Conclave and the things that Theo is teaching but has restrictions for, do you? How do you see that? Do you think that a is professional or unprofessional for him to have these types of restrictions?
In my opinion, it's very unprofessional. There shouldn't be any requirement for people to learn IT. I mean, I get it. I mean, you could do what you want to do with your, course, but I've never seen anyone in the YouTube space or outside of the space or a conference or anything that had weird requirements like this. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, he could do what he want to do. I'm not arguing that. And I'm not finna try to change his mind on whatever he's trying to do. I mean, it's some crazy people in this space. I mean, when I first came here, Red Pill my understanding of red pill, which everybody told me within this space, is that someone that is not married. That's all I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? Because they used to give me, Gabe, and other married guys in the space pushback because we didn't 100% agree with their ideas. Plus, we're married. And so just throwing the married thing out there, yeah, you're not red pill. So, and then the terms came out, purple pill and all this other stuff. Okay, that's someone that's understands the red pill or lives by the red pill, but also is married. Like before, it was just a clear cut line. You know what I'm saying? You either red pill or you blue pill. And then the whole simp terminology, they start using that, even though it changes depending on who you're talking to, what a simp actually is, through especially over the years. So I mean, it's I don't know. It's just like I said, it's just some crazy people in this space, bro. And the more and more I've been around this space, you start running into characters like this guy, that come up with like, okay, I get it. You understand tech. You're good in tech. You work a couple jobs or whatever. I mean, I do that as well. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna put any requirements on teaching anybody uh something dealing with tech. Either you want to get into tech, and that's the thing. The requirements I put out there is not really requirements, it's the just seeing how someone is. I understand some of his points with that, just kind of like an interview. That's typically what I do with my mentor sessions. The first session is really almost kind of like an interview. You know what I'm saying? To see if this person is really, wanting to get into the field or pursue the field. Because obviously they would have looked up some or researched something, like, or at least know what they want to do. That way I can direct them in the way they should go in order to get there. You see what I'm saying? So it's not really a requirement. I'm gonna help you, but if I see you, BSing, or you really unsure about what you want to do, then I'm gonna have to kind of push you to the side to make room for other people that are serious. You see what I'm saying? So I understand that part of it, but to make it to where you're a conservative and all this other stuff, then it's really unnecessary in order to teach someone tech. Period. And let me stop there.
Yeah. And I agree with you on that. I think that some of those requirements that he has are things unrelated to getting a job. If somebody in your organization were to ask you your political leanings, that would be an HR complaint.
Yeah.
That's something that you don't bring up in the interview, nor when you're working. Anytime when you're talking about uh, your political leanings, family, your life, and all this other kind of stuff, you don't want to bring that because it opens the door for discrimination.
Yep.
And it's not like they have to tell you that they're discriminating against you. You can just not get the job, and they just don't reach back out to you. They don't have to tell you that they didn't uh, take you because of something that you said in the interview. And what happens a lot of the time is when you get declined from a position, like somebody they don't give you the position. What happens is if they don't respond to you, or if they do respond to you and you ask them like, hey, can you give me some feedback on why I didn't get the job, like how I can be a better candidate for the next position that I apply for. A lot of the time they'll say, oh, I don't have any notes on the reason why. It happens all the time. So
Yeah.
you won't get a reason. My next question, before you keep it techie, is it's related to him saying, okay, you have to be a red pill person or Republican, right? And then giving an exception to people who are married, and then also saying that the goal is to get 300 black men into IT positions, but then now allowing people of other races in to the conclave. Do you think that that is like a good or a bad thing um,
I
that he says this?
hmm I, I I I believe is kind of a bad thing. Based on I would say the interview that Obsidian had. And so Theo didn't confirm this. He didn't say this, but Obsidian did say that they were modeling. He said that Theo came to him to model this tech training, whatever he's doing, after the way the H-1B visa guys do it, or they at least brought that up as one of the reasons why they started this. They like, okay, these H-1B visa guys come in and they push the information out to the other people that are trying to, possibly pursue that as well. My point with that is they don't discriminate. They just put the information out regardless. If it's female, regardless if it's male, and all that stuff. And so I found that kind of weird as well. Um, that they want to have all these stipulations for black men, but they talk about they modeling that after these H-1B visa guys, and they're pushing the information out to any and everybody that's interested in it. So it's no requirement. And now back to your question. And actually, can you repeat that part of it? Because
Yeah,
that just popped up in my head as part or tied to that question as well. So can you repeat it again so I can make sure
yeah. So essentially, he makes an exception for white men to attend the training or the
Mhm.
conclave or to be
Oh
taught
yeah.
by him. But
Hmm.
his overall goal is to get 300 black men into IT positions.
Well, that's one thing about this space that I really don't like. Like when I first came here, it was more of a pro-black style space. It wasn't 100% pro-black. It wasn't like those guys over on Sinetta that's talking about all that stuff, black woman is God and queen, which I don't agree with none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it did have somewhat of a pro-black tone where you're trying to help black people. And not that one discriminate from anybody, but within this space it seems to be more and more people that come in here that are black that really don't like other black people. And they only hang out with people that especially on that conservative side where they only hang out with other black people that have that same sentiment where they just don't like black people. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where that's coming from. And I agree. It's kind of a negative thing to incorporate into what you're trying to do as well. What he's trying to do as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I want to make the distinction too is that there's nothing wrong with teaching people of other races, but when you say that they have to be indoctrinated into the black manosphere, they have to know about it. They have to be fans of. Well, they don't have to be. He didn't say that. He said most of the time they are fans of Kevin Samuels.
Hmm.
And then also he has to know that you're on the. He has to interview you and know that you're on the up and up to be taught by him. If you're somebody of another race, it doesn't really make much sense to me. Like he kind of, it seems just like I said, more so discriminatory, right? To
Yeah.
discriminate against black people, but then also against other
Allow,
people's
yep,
races. Yeah.
allow other races to come in willy-nilly like I don't know. And then I didn't hear him say the qualifications that he said, for black men. And maybe you heard it. I didn't hear it, but it sounded like he didn't put the stipulations that he put on black men on white men or
Mm.
people of other races, that want to take his course. They just had to be, somewhat red pill. He didn't even say SYSBM. I heard you say that earlier. I didn't hear him say SYSBM when it came to white people.
Well, yeah, he was talking about Passport Bros,
Oh,
and
passport bros. Okay.
yeah, and he did say that the people of other races were Passport Bros as well. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I
but my
missed
thing
that.
is that it is that honing in on race, that in addition to the being a passport bro or being red pill and all these other things, it's also irrelevant to getting a job in corporate or getting a job in IT. These things are just, it doesn't really make much sense. It just opens up a way for people to dislike you for no real reason, right? Because you think differently
Yeah.
than him, he's going to ask you if you red pill or blue pill. What if you don't watch YouTube and you have no clue what that is? What if you have no clue who Kevin Samuels or Andrew Tate is, or all these other red pill people? If you don't know who they are, then why would you sit up here and ask somebody that, or disqualify somebody for that? You know,
Yeah,
if they say the wrong
it's
thing, then he's gonna be like, no.
yeah, it's kind of weird. And I think another reason why he's doing this is to keep the amount of students low. Well, I mean, and so, and he's saying they want to grow this conclave, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you would either have to hire more people, but it seems as though he's trying to keep the numbers low. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it's going to force it to be low with those stipulations. What do you think?
I agree. I think that is going to hinder him from reaching his goal. He did say he had 50 plus people or something like that, 50 plus students that he's teaching, and it's going to take a long time for him to get up to that point. But my thing is that, hey, it's going to take a very long time to hit all those requirements, or really those restrictions for people, because not everybody's going to fall into line in that. Because he doesn't bring up the fact that we're talking about people who are not already in IT, who aren't already, with experience or trying to, who already have a job already. We're talking about people who's trying to get into tech. So they may not have any experience at all, or they may have some experience but trying to make a career switch. And, people who are already doing well for themselves won't find any value in this conclave or anything like that. It may be interesting information, right? But if you're already working in cloud, why do you need to listen to Theo about it? And he did bring
Hmm.
up, in his defense, he did bring up that there are alternatives to it, which I would say the alternatives would be better because they won't discriminate against a good majority of people.
Yeah.
One more point as well about this is when he brings up the point about, if you don't know what you want to do or the reason as to why you want to get into IT, or why you're taking this course, and then if he says, you don't know what you're doing or why you want to do it, he'll kick you out and then just come back later when you figure it out. Do you think that is a good reason to not help somebody if they don't have the guidance, or would you then provide the guidance for them?
I think it's a good reason for what he's trying to do. And the
Okay.
reason I say that, don't get me wrong, the reason I say that because later on he pushes into talking about CompTIA certifications again.
Yeah.
I think Ramil asked that question. I didn't want to touch on that until you were ready to. I didn't know if that was part of the video you were gonna play a little later. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he made a statement that and this was something I was going to respond to. He made a statement that there's a push towards black men getting CompTIA certifications, which I highly disagree with. That they're just pushing it on black men. No, CompTIA certifications are industry standard and they're being pushed to everybody that's interested in IT. And so,
Mm-hmm.
back to your question, you know, it that's why I say it kind of ties into what he's trying to do because he's trying to push people to specialize as soon as possible without any knowledge of IT. Skip all the foundation, which I highly disagree with. Skip all the foundation, and hop into a specialized certification, which like I've said, I highly disagree with because if you're new to IT, you need to get the the foundation. You need to get the basics of understanding what a printer is, what a router is, what a switch is, how all this communicates, the OSI layer model,
Mm.
the OSI model, understanding IP addresses, subnet mask, and I can go on and on, but I'm just saying you need the fundamentals of how an actual computer works in order to, if you're going into cybersecurity, in order to protect it. Or
Mm.
if you're going into databases, you need to understand how the server operating system works in order to troubleshoot issues that may arise if you're just responsible for managing a MongoDB database in AWS. It's imperative that you understand fundamentals. But yeah, that guy he just kind of goes towards that, as okay, just hopping right into specialization. I'll stop right there. Go ahead.
Yep. I do want to make another point as well, is that later on in the live stream, I didn't get to that part of the video, but in the live stream, Theo does say he doesn't want people to stop right there with just getting the CompTIA certifications. So that was his main gripe on it. And I agree with, like, hey, if you get a certification in CompTIA, and then if you want to then further your knowledge or further your education, going into the AWS certs or the cloud certs would also be a good pivot as well to further make more money. I think that's a good point. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
he's making it seem like everybody that takes CompTIA is just gonna stop there. No, we all push that. I push that as well. That you need when you get into IT, it's continuous learning. It's
yes,
just like becoming anything. You have to continuously learn and get better skills in order to get more money. That's just the way it works. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So nobody's saying take CompTIA and stop, or nobody's pushing just for CompTIA and then just stop. We're
Mm-hmm.
pushing on to these new people that are coming into the field. Yes, you need to specialize to get to the money, but CompTIA is an excellent way to start. Not saying it's the only way, but it's an excellent way to get the fundamentals and move forward.
I agree with you on that. Keep it techie. But I want you to stay up right quick. But I do have the lead attorney with us today. Lead attorney, how are you doing?
Hey, before the billions, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. How are you doing?
Good. Good evening. How are you?
Doing well. Pleasure to have you up here.
Thank
Um,
you.
so lead, I know that I don't know how much of the video that you were able to watch, but we were discussing Black Tech conferences, and in this live stream, we're talking about the Black Manosphere Conclave, primarily the tech portion of things, and because the goal that Obsidian and then also Theo said last night was that we want to get at least 300 black men into IT positions. So I want to ask Lee, what are your thoughts, or what part of the video have you seen or wanted to give commentary on?
Yeah, I saw some of this video and I saw some of the video, the live that was yesterday.
Yes.
And I spoke at the the conclave. I spoke at the last one. I think they've had two or three.
Right.
So I spoke at the last one, and my part was covering divorce and marriage and kind of what guys can do to protect themselves. And so my part had absolutely nothing to do with tech, because I know nothing about tech. You guys are the heavyweights. I can barely cut on a computer. But I spoke and I felt like my information was well received. I have a lot of information that is kind of specialized, a lot of information, or at least a perspective that um, it's not very common being a 20-year divorce attorney. And so when they asked me to speak, I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was good, because more men need to hear from this perspective, especially if they're going to have relationships with women.
Mm.
So I guess I was a little surprised to hear your criticism of it, I guess I can understand, to the extent that you have a tech conference that's only about tech, and then you start talking about things that are not directly related to tech, then that does seem like it would dilute it down. I would agree with that.
Right.
But
And lead, I want to say this too, is that I believe that your commentary and your experience is valuable. Um, and like I said in the previous video, is that because the goal was set at being a tech conference, it really leads me to believe, okay, how can you grow your tech conference if you talk about things that are completely unrelated? And this is more so to like, hey, if this is the goal and we want to be able to get to that 300 people, we need to kind of focus in on the tech portion. And I understand that, we need more people to understand about, family law and, relationships with women, because it's still important at the end of the day. I just wish that instead of it being promoted as a tech conference, it was promoted as a, like a Black Manosphere type of meetup. I saw Christian Hutchinson come up on the previous video, and he said he thought of it as a black male finishing school,
mm,
which is, in his experience, would be closer to what it actually was versus how it was marketed.
yeah, it's interesting. In all fields where you have licenses, you have to do these continuing education courses so you can get your credits, every year. As attorneys, we have to do these, and you'll say, okay, well, I want to go to a conference that's about criminal law, or I wanted to go to a conference that's about workers' comp. And you'll go off to that conference, and maybe it'll last 2 or 3 days, and you'll sit through a bunch of classes, and you'll get your credits. And some of them will be more interesting than others. But even though the purpose of the conference is to teach you these things about whatever area you decided to focus on, there's always extra stuff thrown in, whether it's about, how to run your practice, or whether it's speakers about ethics, malpractice, things of that nature. And you could say, well, if I'm trying to learn workers' comp, I don't need these classes about ethics, or I don't need these classes about office management or things of that nature. And it's true. But, when you sign up for these classes, what they do is before you pay for the conference, you can clearly see the brochure. You can see the speakers, and then, what they're going to speak about.
Hmm.
And so it's not really a surprise. In fact, if you're purchasing that, you're saying that's what you want. And it seems to me that this conference, a huge focus of it was tech, but at the same time, and you'll have to forgive me because I'm super sick. But at the same time, there was a whole program that was published on the website where people bought the tickets, and they could clearly see who was going to be there, and they could see what they were going to talk about. So if they saw me on the program, they know, okay, this nigga don't even know how to turn on a computer. So, if I'm sitting through an hour after him, it's not going to be about tech. However, I want to hear what he has to say. Now, if I don't want to hear him, if I don't want to hear Obsidian, if I don't want to hear these other people, then I can go to another conference where they don't have any of that extra stuff, the more comprehensive stuff. But if black men are saying, "Hey, we know that there are other conferences out there that focus specifically on Python or whatever you guys talk about," I don't even know.
I'm surprised you know about Python
I
now.
I was gonna say C++, but I was like, "Damn, is
Okay.
that all? That's all I know." C++, Python, Java.
Okay.
Um, if they're saying, "Well, these conferences exist," and it's all what is it? It's just 100% of what of programming or whatever. But no, instead of those, or in addition to those, I am going to pay my money for a more comprehensive course that's going to teach me some about tech, but also about life. You know, I don't really see what's wrong with that. You got uh, Warren Buffett's right hand man for like 60 years, Charlie Munger. Those two made billions together. And he says, you know, what ruins men uh, almost always is one of the three L's. You know, it's leverage, it's liquor, or it's ladies. And as men, you know, I'm not sure what good it does to really try to teach you how to make six figures. And then you go and then you make some horrible mistake with a woman, which men have done. I mean, you could see the celebrities losing money left and right, having kids left and right, child support, fucking all their money off, and they have millions. So if a guy is really going to work so hard to get $100,000 a year, which, you know, after taxes, and then if you marry this woman, you know, she's going to get half. So if you have 100,000, you take 30 of that because now from taxes, and now you're at 70, and then you get married, so she's entitled to 35. You know, you work that whole year for 35,000. I don't. I just. I'm guessing. I'm trying to figure out if that's what these men wanted. If they saw the program beforehand, and you know, said, well, in addition to what other programs there are, or in lieu of those, I want to get this one, and I want to have a more holistic approach. I guess I'm trying to figure out what the criticism is.
Let me try to clarify a little bit. How you doing, lead attorney?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, brother?
All right, man. I hope you feel better and
Thank you.
everything.
I had to go to urgent care this morning. My whole shit was locked up.
Oh man, sorry to hear that, man.
Mm-mm.
So, um, I think my main criticism, and it's not really a criticism of the actual conclave itself. Like when people pay to go to the conference, whatever it is,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you have access to whatever you want to within that conference. And that's if it's a tech conference, that's if it's any other conference. My problem is uh you know how the people that speak, they may offer something.
Mhm.
Like for instance, you may offer, I don't know, YouTube. I know you have a YouTube course or
Right.
whatever.
Mhm.
Live stream
So
course.
the live stream course. So how do you feel about requirements being put on that course saying that one, you have to be red pill, one, you have to be a passport bro in order to actually take this course?
Yeah, that's a very great point. And I absolutely want to address it. But I'm not sure, keep it techie, if you noticed though, but you've kind of deflected what was going on because it seemed like before the billions had an objection, and then I
Oh, I'm sorry.
responded. No, you're fine. You're fine
Sorry.
because your point is well taken, and I want to get to that point. But before we move on, I wanted to have a clearer understanding of what before the billions objection was after hearing my response. But then after we get done with that, then I absolutely want to talk about your objection too, because I think
Okay.
it's super relevant.
Right. Yeah. So when it comes to the conclave and you having all these different types of topics, such as I know you were talking about family law and women and dating and relationships, but then there also were some things that was brought to my attention talking about Kane's self-defense or fitness, and it was so, the types of topics were so unrelated from each other, it really lacked focus. So you can say, oh, I want to go on it, and I've been to a lot of different conferences, and essentially they have a theme for a conference, such as, like, I went to a conference the other day talking about data visualization with Microsoft, and everything was relating to Microsoft, but they also had some other things, like people who were not into coding and tech, they were more so interested in business. They talked about that as well, but it also is interconnected because you can learn about business, being a business analyst, and you can still gain value from going to that type of conference. So that way it gets you closer to the goal. And just like how, and another point going with what Keep It Techie was saying, well, that was my only objection to what you said, Lee, is I just
Okay.
wanted to kind of be a little bit more focused. But to Keep It
Well,
Techie's point
well,
is,
before we get to Keep It Techie's point,
okay.
you know, how do you address the situation that, excuse me, the program and the speakers were announced months ahead of the actual event? And, the 100, 200, 300, however many hundreds of black men who signed up for that saw all the people that were coming and decided, yes, this is what I want to hear about. If I
Yeah.
want to hear, um, straight C++, then I can sign up for that. But if I want something that's more holistic, something that's more comprehensive, I'm sure that you guys work very hard for your money. And because of that, maybe there's some obesity issues, maybe there's some dietary issues, as as there are so many of us. I can tell you when I was sitting in urgent care today, I was like, man, health is really important.
Right.
Health is really, really important. You can have six figures, but if your health is falling off because you're so stressed out because you don't know how to manage your diet and your fitness because you're so concerned with this $100,000 that you're gonna have, what's the use? So if a man has a comprehensive approach and then looks at this program and says, yes, I do want to learn some about a tech. Now, it's 2 3 day conference, so it's not like you're going to learn all of Java, right? But it's something to get you started. But I also want to hear these brothers talk about marriage because maybe I want to get married.
Yeah.
And
And Lee,
maybe I have a fiance.
let me answer some of the questions that you asked.
Hmm.
Particularly like what's the use, right? And
No, I guess what I'm saying is that these gentlemen wanted this. You're saying that the it sounds like you're saying that these offerings should not have taken place, or some of these speakers should not have been there when the brothers specifically knew that the speakers were coming and paid for the speakers. And now you're saying no, that the speakers shouldn't be there.
I think that it should have been like the goal should have been different. I think that's more so my intent with saying this. If Obsidian and Theo say my goal is this, then the 300 people getting into IT and tech,
Hmm.
then maybe the goal should have been like how Christian Hutchinson said, a black male finishing school helping men to better their lives. That more so should have been the goal. So that way it would have made more sense for it to be all these other things. Um, you know, that's essentially my only critique on that point.
Yeah, but how do you get around the fact that the speakers were announced, months in advance, and when someone signed, I think it was impossible for you to pay for the ticket without seeing who the speakers were. And so the
Right.
brothers saw the speakers, they wanted this, and they signed up for it. I guess you're saying you have a problem with like the title or how it was labeled, or
Yeah, exactly. It's more
oh,
so
okay.
the intent around it.
Okay.
Right. But Lee, to keep it techie's
Yeah, let's talk
question.
about to keep it Techie's point. Mm-hmm.
All right. So to add on to what he's saying as well, because we were talking about, and more so going closer to what was what actually said. Um, Both Obsidian and Theo were discussing how they wanted black men to be red pill, and I saw Gabe A yesterday when he came up on the live stream say that it also had a Republican spin on it. So the politics also played a part in you being able to go to the conference or gaining value from the conference. So you had having to be Republican, red pill, and then also having to be interviewed to go to the conclave by Theo, so that way he can assess the type of person you are. Um, if he does not like you, or if he sees that you are like a Pookie or blue pill, then he will ban you from not only the group, but then also from him from his profile, and then he'd be done with you.
Mhm.
Do you see any issue with having restrictions such as that for a conference?
Um, it certainly seems like it could be an issue in, excuse me, in terms of your money, because the more selecting you are, the smaller your pool is going to be, right? But and it does, especially in this whole this society that we live in now. Um, I don't want to say woke, but everybody just really wants equality in all things, and for a lot of ways that makes sense. But I tell you, I've got a really good friend who has a best friend who she does these. She made $1 million last year, and she does these little boot camps. She'll go out on Piedmont Park, or go out on the grass with these women, and she only allows women in her boot camp, and they're only black women. And on top of that, there's a strong preference for Africans. I mean, she'll let an African American in every now and then, but she's from Africa, and she only wants African. Only is a strong word, but she prefers African women, and she only wants women. If you're a man, or this or that, I don't. She's not going to do it. It's her business, and she's just like, I don't want to train you. I'm not trying to train men. My knowledge base is for women, and I know how to communicate with women better, and the results that I get from training women are better.
Okay.
And her women love it. And in terms of, I think Keep It Techie might have personalized it to me. You know, from that aspect, I do like it. I have a mastermind where I charge $50 a month, and I help YouTubers. And I swear that, one of the rules that I have to that mastermind is that you have to be a YouTuber. You can't just be like, oh, I want to hang out with Lead on Thursdays and Sundays, so I'm gonna join this thing. No, now that's discrimination, right? But I want you. Let me find out that you are either not a YouTuber or not planning on being a YouTuber, and you're out of there. And I'm not giving you a refund of the $50 when I find out, because that was the rule coming in. And I think that's better, because somebody might come up to me and say, hey, Lead, what are your results from this mastermind? Well, before the billion, what do you think the results are going to be in the mastermind? And if I've got 300 people in there and none of them want to be YouTubers, I say, hey guys, how is y'all YouTube channel coming? Oh, we don't have a channel. We're just here to hang out with you. No, I want you guys away from me, because according to the metrics and criteria that I'm going to set up in my head, you guys are not going to get the results that I want you to get. So I don't want to teach you. And I don't see anything bad with that. Now we can argue about the metrics and the criteria and who should, Republicans or Democrats, can you be a train? I don't know, we could argue about that. But, to have someone, a teacher, say, hey, I am good communicating with these types of people. These types of people will get the best out of me. If other types of people join, they might not get the results that they should get because of the way that I communicate. I don't have a problem with that. And I think it's good. I don't want to pay this African lady $300 a month, and she doesn't know how to train 6'3", 240-pound men out there in the grass, in Piedmont Park with her little bow shoe balls or whatever she got.
And Lead, I know you hate the grass at Piedmont Park, doing the picnics and stuff.
Okay.
So,
It'd be hot as hell out there.
right, and Lead, I
I don't
want
know if
to
that
also.
addresses Keep It Tech. Well, let me see what Keep It Tech had to say, because I know he was the one to bring that up first, and I don't want to blaze over what his objection was.
Oh no, no. I understand. I get your point. I just looked at I don't know. I look at some of and I don't know if this is the right term to use, like social stuff, like outside of, your or someone's personal business, like whether they're red pill or if they're married, or that's their personal business. That shouldn't affect them learning in any way. or their politics, like which way they vote. That shouldn't have any effect on them actually coming into a course. And the only reason I think I came up or we speaking on this because of the tech side of it. That's the reason why I'm coming into the conversation, because that's kind of what I do. And none of that matters when it comes to learning tech or excelling in tech. I mentor people too. You know what I'm saying? I've I do have a way of weeding out people that I know I can tell that are not going to probably put the best effort into it. You see what I'm saying? But it, it, I'm not looking into these people life like that, as far as like, okay, if this person believes in the red pill philosophy, what does that matter in order to learn something specific for a job? You see what I'm saying? And let me preface it or say this as well. Like I said this in the beginning when I first came on. Like he can do whatever he wants to do. You know what I'm saying? If you create something and you want to teach people, you can do it however you want to. I'm not trying to change his mind. I'm not trying to, you know, do anything. I'm just trying to have the conversation. Like, is it beneficial to even look that deep into someone, as far as their background, in order to teach them how to get into some specific job? So that's really where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and I think your focus is on the students and saying, well, if you are red pill or blue pill, you can learn Java, it doesn't really matter whether you're red or blue pill. But as someone who teaches people, I will say that it's nice to know that your students are going to jive not only with the information, but how you present it. There's a part of me in my mastermind, I would like to say, no Christians. I don't want any Christians in my mastermind. And my mastermind is to teach people how to run YouTube. And you'll be like, well, Lee, that's crazy. Because Christians can learn how to do YouTube. There's some great one of the biggest YouTubers who teaches YouTube out in Think Media. He's like a pastor. He has millions of subscribers, makes millions of dollars. So if a Christian can learn how to do YouTube, why don't you want him in your mastermind? Well, I say, well, it's not because of him, it's because of me. Because I say, just the way that I talk, the way that I teach, the way, the way that I present, I use the Lord's name in vain all the time. God damn it, and Jesus Christ, and these people will get offended. And I don't need to be in a class having to censor myself. And I don't need to be in a class where if I don't censor myself, then someone's gonna get mad. Someone's gonna get offended, and they're gonna be asking me for my money back. Listen, just know this is not the mastermind for you. There's a million masterminds out there that'll teach you social media. Just let me rock with the ones who don't mind me using the Lord's name in vain. So I'm not sure how um, Theo is presenting his information just because, I'm incompetent to all things tech. But I would just, encourage you guys to look at it from that point of view as well, as a person who's actually doing the presenting. That you want students that are gonna rock with you, not students who you're gonna offend. I don't know if you guys know who Roberto Blake is.
Yes.
He's one of the he might be the biggest black YouTuber who teaches people how to YouTube. And you
Yeah.
want to talk, listen, if you talk to him behind the scenes, you will know that this man is, he is staunchly red pill. I mean, he's got some ideas. But, if he's free to talk like that, maybe to me, but then to a woman, he might have to restrict himself a little bit. And maybe he gets to a point where it's like, man, listen, I got so much money and I got so little patience and I value my time so much that I only want to do what I want to do and I want to speak the way that I want to speak in all things. And if I want to break down YouTube in a certain way, I'm going to do it that way. And if you don't like it, that's cool. I just don't want you as a student.
Yeah.
So,
Lee, now let me also add in something too. I think that I'm starting to understand your point in this as well. Is it's a private meeting, essentially the meaning of a conclave, a private meeting.
Yeah.
I'm only expecting people of this particular restriction or qualification to be able to attend,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand what you mean. And then with your Roberto Blake example, he then creates YouTube videos, which is for everybody, and that's where he shows his professionalism, right? That's
Correct.
where that comes into place.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Or it could be professionalism, or it could be his patience or his high tolerance. But some people, man, they don't really have patience like that. Or they don't really have tolerance like that. Some people don't want to play the game anymore. Some people are like, listen, I want to do stuff on my own terms, so I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it the way that's acceptable for everybody. I'm gonna put hot sauce on this burger. Ain't no burgers in this restaurant that ain't got no hot sauce on it. If you don't like hot sauce, don't come in this goddamn restaurant. Everything's got sauce on it and it's hot. Right. So I've never been in one of Theo's class. There's a gentleman in my mastermind that is in Theo's class, and he blows off my mastermind every single session to be in Theo's class. He loves Theo's class. I feel like he's learning so much because he pays for the mastermind, but he blows off all of the sessions because when they meet is the same time when I meet. So he has a high preference for the way that Theo is presenting the information in there. Strong brother too, highly intelligent.
Can I
So
can I ask a
yeah.
quick question about that lead?
Hmm.
With that, are the in your in your um in your oh my god, I can't think of the name of it.
The
Your
mastermind.
mastermind. In your
Hmm.
mastermind, are the videos pre-recorded so that way if he did leave your mastermind to go to the conclave or the meeting with Theo, that he could then come back to it, or is he just paying and then leaving, and not getting the actual value from the mastermind?
Yeah, the most to answer your question, everything is recorded.
Okay.
For the mastermind, we meet twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays. And if you can't attend the meetings, that's fine. All the meetings are recorded.
Okay.
So and most of the people actually watch the recorded videos. Most of the people don't show up to the meetings. However, the true value is showing up to the meetings, talking to me, talking to all the other fellow content creators from large to small, and figuring out what everybody's doing and asking questions and just really having that big community. I think if you're only watching the pre-recorded stuff, I think at most, well, you know, let's say you're getting 75% of the value, but that 25% that you're leaving on the table is huge because you can ask one question that'll change the whole course of your channel. But, if you're always busy, you never get to ask it. Now, he's busy with something that he deems as a higher priority. And, I would say that's true, especially if he wants to do tech. So I'm not butthurt about it. But yeah, so to answer your question, everything is recorded.
Okay. And lead, I think this is gonna be like my final question, but so how would you go about growing a conclave or a mastermind that has these types of restrictions?
Well, that's the key, isn't it? Because you're not really concerned with growth, because you've got the restrictions, right?
Well,
So
well,
you,
well,
mhm.
I will say that the goal was to grow to at least 300 to hit that goal. How do you get to 300 black men getting jobs from a private meeting? You have to grow until you get to that point. If
Well,
he's like he
if
currently
you're
is at 50 students, he's trying to get up to 300, and the 50 people who he has are making an additional six figures. How would you go about getting to that goal, hitting that goal?
okay, growing to a specific goal. Is that what you're
Right,
saying?
right.
Um, I mean, one way, maybe you could call this a cheat, is to start backing off or eliminating some of these restrictions, right? Because the less restrictions that you put on, the more students you're going to have in the pot. Now that's not necessarily going to work, because if these restrictions are in place for a reason, you might have people sign up and then they fall out, they wash out because they didn't meet the qualifications that you thought were necessary to succeed in the course. So then you would have to change the way that you present your information to be uh, more available to a wider audience, which is something that I'm not sure. It obviously sounds like Theo's not open to that, right? But that's one way. Another way is marketing. Uh, I have YouTube Premium, right? So I'm not sure if they're running YouTube ads. I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know if they're doing Facebook ads. I've seen very little marketing on the 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 conclave. Marketing, let's say, that wasn't organic. Like I saw a lot of the speakers that were going to speak do marketing. I did posts, I shouted it out. I saw Sir Hale, he was doing posts, he was shouting it out. People were shouting it out, but it was really kind of what I saw was the speakers. So if he wants to reach more people, he could run ads promoting the the conclave. Really, what you're asking is just a marketing question, right? I mean, if he wants to go really hard, he could set up, a email list. He could set up a VSL. He could hire, influencers. He could go balls to the wall. But again, you might be reaching people who have a higher chance of not succeeding, especially if it's supposed to be a red pill type of thing. I mean, if you're going for black men who are red pill, your TAM is pretty small. Your total addressable market. You're not really trying for huge growth. You're not trying to get 5,000 people in that thing. So the way to grow it is either do some type of marketing strategy like that, but also over time. I think this was the second or the third conclave. I don't doubt that on conclave number 5, number 6, they're not going to have hit their number, right? Their growth. I mean, by conclave year number 10, Jesus, right? They're going to be rocking and rolling. Maybe the goal is expanded. Maybe they're up to 500 or 600. Who knows? So sometimes it's time. I get this a lot from people who want to grow their YouTube channels. They're like, "Hey, lead, I got 400 subs, man. How do I grow? How long you had your channel? 3 months? Well, you know, sometimes it's just a factor of time, doing the right things, but it takes time. But yeah, I don't think growth would be a problem for them if they're patient and strategic with their marketing. And Lord knows Theo is highly super intelligent. If he wants to grow, there's a number of ways for him to achieve that.
Right. I'm glad I asked that question too, Lead. Simply because even though you said it earlier in this live stream about not being able to speak to the tech side of things, but I knew you would have some expertise in the marketing and growing of not only channels but also of a mastermind and or conclave. So I'm glad we were able to discuss that, because overall I want this to be it's a critique, but it's also to be able to help to show, okay, well, just like how you said, maybe not having such strict restrictions could help you achieve that goal. But then also the other tips that you put in your commentary, I believe, would be able to help to grow the conclave in a positive way.
Well, I agree. Although the way you said that, I want to make sure that I, emphasize that some of these restrictions are positive. The fact that you can eliminate people who you don't think are going to do well, that's a positive all the way around, because it saves you resources and it saves them time and resources, right? If I know coming in that you're not going to be a good fit, you coming in as a student, my number one job is to get you out of there. It's like the Navy SEALs, right? The Navy SEALs, when you're in there and training, when you're trying to make it, their number one job is to kick you out. That's all they're trying to do. They bring in 1,000 people and they're trying to keep 35, and they need to kick out 950 people. So, them kicking out people, them discriminating against people, them making it harder is good for everyone, because what you don't want is for somebody to make it and then they can't cut it and they wash out, halfway through when the real training begins, or Lord knows when the mission starts and now they're messing up. So I don't really want you guys to leave thinking that restrictions necessarily are a bad thing. I use them. My friend's friend who made $1 million, she uses them to great effect. I mean, people use these things to help the students. I would love for teachers, and in fact, this actually happened to me because last year I had these courses and I didn't know how to run ads against them. And this guy named Brian, Mojica or Mocada, whatever his name is. He's this big guy, young guy on YouTube that trains with Sam Ovens. I don't know if you know who Sam Ovens is. He trained under Sam Ovens and was helping him with YouTube ads. Well, he was like, "Hey guys, I'm going to teach you how to do YouTube ads if you got courses." I was like, "Great, I got a course." I signed up for his. I watched his little webinar. I signed up for a call. His price for teaching me how to run YouTube ads was $10,000. Once I watched the webinar and saw his videos, I had my credit card in hand. And I got on the call with him, the Zoom call, and we talked. And he was like, "Well, tell me what you got going on." "Oh, I got this, 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 this." Had my credit card. Just take the money and set me up with these damn ads. He wouldn't take it. He was like, "You're not ready yet. You need to go read this book by Alex Hormozy." I bought the book. It's cost $1. Him, he saved me, $9,999 because he was like, I wasn't, the way that my offer was set up, I didn't have any upsells. I wasn't ready for his course. He discriminated against me,
Mhm.
but it helped me out so much because now, just last month I made $33,000 just on my courses alone, for in large part for one thing that I learned in that book, where I was going to give this man 10,000 and he turned it down. He was, "I'm not going to take it." So discrimination, guys, can be a hugely positive thing.
Well, I guess we can use a different word for it if that's the case. I think qualifying your customers would be a little bit better than saying the word discrimination.
I mean, it's the
But
same thing, but you mean if one sounds better, we can use it. But
right.
you qualifying, discriminating, you're 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 you're
Yeah,
not letting everybody in that wants to come in. You're sitting back and deciding based on criteria that's in your head who's going to get in.
Yeah, and I agree with that point. Just to chime in right fast, I do agree with that point, and that's why I brought up the point where when I do mentor sessions, you can kind of tell the people that's gonna wash out, so to speak, or not take the training or the courses that I recommend seriously, or push towards that direction. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of tell the people that's not going to take advantage of it. And so just save each other's time, and try to maximize my time and push it towards other people. So I agree with you there. It is some form of discrimination, or the requirements that you have is needed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
And I
yeah.
agree
Yeah.
with that. But listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I saw your some of your stream yesterday and your stream today too, and I just wanted to hop on for the because I'll be honest, I didn't really think y'all were giving it a fair shake. I didn't really hear the other side. I didn't hear anybody really pushing back with any strong arguments on the other side. So I just wanted to come
Mhm.
in, stand up for my folks. Now, I don't necessarily consider myself red pill. I'm more purple pill. I still love these women, man. I still love them. I wish I was more red pill, but there's part of me that's, there's a little purple in there. But I think what the brothers were trying to do was admirable. They put a lot of hard work in it, a lot of money in it, and they got some success out of it. And so to see brothers make streams about this and no one is really trying to prop up the other side, I just, I wanted to come in and be a little bit more a little bit more balanced, give you guys some balance. All right. So that was basically my point. But
Right.
y'all keep doing y'all's thing, and it's great that y'all are talking about Black people in tech. I don't know anything about tech, but I would just imagine that we're grossly underrepresented in that area. So that's
Yes,
great that y'all
very.
are.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need more
And
representation.
and that's where my problem lies. Like as far as the discrimination when it comes to it, we're already somewhat, you could say, discriminated in the field, so to speak, because of the numbers. And not that nobody's actively stopping us. We can get into the field, but the information is out there. It's just I I just didn't see the point of, okay, it's less of us in it right now, and then now you're putting more restrictions on top of it as well. Being you have to be specific red pill, because I look at the numbers and it's not dealing with men. I look at the numbers dealing with black people in general, and they're the lowest on that as far as the stats that I looked at not that long ago. We're at like 7% within the information technology field as far as all the jobs that are out there.
Mhm.
And that's based on all the other races. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
And in
Yeah.
addition to that, keep it taken, we also make the least a lot of the time as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's true.
one of the points that Theo and Obsidian brought up was that other races have a pipeline, or as you can say, nepotism, that they can use to be able to get into these higher paying positions. So they said that they wanted to help build something like that for black men. And I would love to see more black men or black people in general get into the field. As an example, we had Kevin Samuels, who said that when he was able to get into a higher level position in leadership, he hired on a team of black people. And they asked him, "Why did you hire mostly black people?" And he said, "It's because you look at all these other groups and these other races, they're getting hired on, and I want a team of black people just like how you have a team of another race, people who look like you." So I think that it's important that we do get more people into these upper level leadership positions so we can grow in the numbers and be able to grow in our representation and salaries and everything else within tech.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that one solution though is not really to make Theo loosen up his restrictions. The solution really is just to find more Theos, right? Because if I'm trying to teach people and it's just in me at my age of 47, I just don't really care anymore. If it's just not in me to hold my tongue and not use the Lord's name in vain, it's not really worth it for me to use my time on this earth to teach people in a way that I'm uncomfortable with. So it can't be that Theo's the only guy with this knowledge, the only black guy with this knowledge that wants to help black people. Ideally, there'd be 500 Theos or 1,000 Theos. I think what Theo is doing is so good. And so it really did kind of hurt me a little bit to watch these streams and, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like this either. You shouldn't have did this. And no one's really kind of pushing back or giving the other side. And I feel the least competent to do it because y'all know I can't do anything with a computer.
Well, well, Lead, I will say is that we did have Christian Hutchinson come up on the previous stream. He
Oh, I
actually
missed that.
he did attend the conclave, and he is in tech and did give a positive commentary on it. I did ask him a question though. Um, I don't know if you want to answer this question or not, but the question I asked him was if you were a sponsor or a company and you wanted to grow your company by promoting at a conclave or a conference, and or if you were a an employer, would you send your employees to be able to learn from this conclave or conference? Would you actually put your money towards it or send your employees towards this type of opportunity? Um,
Mm,
Lee, I don't know if you want to answer the question or not, but that was the question I asked Christian.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
can see it. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was saying, excuse me, because again, I'm a little under the weather, but I can see it more as a sponsor. If I had a company that was kind of into tech, or certainly a company that was trying to target the black community that was into tech, I would absolutely. And these let's just say it, these sponsorships, they're write-offs, right? So if I'm doing really well and I got some money, I got a budget, and hey, I'm gonna sponsor 15 companies. I'm going to do something, and Obsidian hits me up or Shannon hits me up. Hey, can you throw 500 or 1,000? Yeah, go ahead. I'm really not competent enough to speak to the employers because, you know, I'm not competent enough to judge the quality of the tech talk that was there. And so I think for me to say, yeah, I'm a tech company and I would send my employees there to hire, then I just don't know about tech enough to know kind of if that's something good or not. But just as a business person, if I were looking for tax write-offs, then I was targeting the black community that was interested in tech, particularly black men for some reason or another. Absolutely. I thought it was a super positive uh, conference, which again is why I wanted to call in. Now, I don't, me calling into shows, that I was big in 2020, 2021 doing that. I'll be honest, I don't do that anymore. But I wanted to come up because I just wanted to make sure that this subject was being kind of fleshed out more fully.
I agree, I
I
appreciate
really
that. Mm.
no, so I appreciate you giving me time to do that before the billions. I know you don't have to pull me up, so I appreciate that. And also shout out to you, Keep It Techie. And y'all know I just want to give y'all props and y'all the heavyweights. I can't argue nothing about no computers or nothing. So I really salute you guys. Y'all have a knowledge that I'll never have in 1,000 lives. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah, and just to say one thing, Lee, but no, I appreciate that. But just say one thing, we are those other Theos out here. I've been doing this for a
Oh,
while
okay.
as
Hey, my
well. You
bad.
know what I'm saying? It's just
I didn't know.
and that was one of the things I was kind of pointing out earlier, like in certain aspect, it kind of excludes me because I'm not a staunch conservative, or I'm not a, because that was the way the first conference was. You had to be a conservative, and they wanted to interview and uh red pill. I'm married. I've been married for 16 years. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Two kids, all that stuff, all that good stuff. But I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the pill talking points,
Right.
but I'm here to help black men, and I thought that's what this space was about when I first came in, and I've been around since 2016. Actually, O'Shea has influenced me to create my channel
Mm,
because he said, "Hey, we need more black people in tech field." Oh, I work in tech. Let me talk about that. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah,
right.
I've been around the space for a while, and yeah, and not to diminish your point. You know what I'm saying? Your point was spot on. We do need more Theos. You know what I'm saying? And but it's a lot of us that's been here. It's just we kind of been excluded because of, not that I'm chasing it, but kind of been excluded a little bit because we don't necessarily agree with all the points. But and I understand it. That's their right as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can do
But
what they want,
honestly,
but yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but and I think from one aspect, I can understand, excuse me, why you feel that way. But I would want to choose to look at it another way. Not that you're excluded, but just that you have a different lane. I had, especially when Kevin passed, Kevin Samuel, I had a lot of people consult with me, almost like it was almost kind of a blow to the ego because I got a huge amount in consultations, and everybody was like, well, we wanted to consult with Kevin, but now he's gone. So I guess I'll ask you. It's like, well,
Right.
fuck, that's almost like a slap in the face. But what Kevin presented, in a way, I'm excluded from presenting the information that way because I can't present the information that way. The way that Kevin did it was a genius. But I don't want to view it that way at all. I'm excluded from presenting it that way. No, I want to say that I have my own way to present information. When I look at my brother, JT, JT cannot present information like I can. I'm talking about pocket watching with JT. But that
Mhm.
man, oh my God, the stuff that he can do with taxes and numbers and I can't even add. And so,
You can add that money though.
right with it, taxes though, if you're trying to get it.
Right.
The information that Kevin can provide, the information that I can provide, the information that Pocket Watching with JT can provide, the information that Orlando Minor can provide with real estate. So many brothers can offer information. So I don't, I'm not sure the best way to look at it, keep it take is, oh, I'm excluded. No, you're not excluded, brother. You just got another way to offer the information, another lane. If Theo wants to come with this red pill stuff, cool. Let him talk to the people, the black men that want to rock with that. You can talk to the black men that are more like me, like, hey man, nothing necessarily is wrong with marriage. So maybe, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not competent to learn what Theo's teaching. But if he sat down with me and interviewed me, I'm not sure I would make the cut. But that doesn't mean that if I don't make the cut with Theo, I can't come to you and learn just as well. So it's not I'm excluded, there needs to be more Theos, more U's, more people available so all the black men can get in the slots that we need to be in.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind
I
of
get you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Lee,
think maybe that's a better way to look at it.
one
Hmm.
quick question, Lee. So, would you consider yourself or Pocket Watch with JT or Orlando Minor a part of the Black Manosphere, or do you think that it's evolved into something different?
I mean, evolved is a strong word. I'll be honest, I just think it's dying. No, I made a video 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and quote unquote announcing my departure of the manosphere, and I got criticized for that. But back when I made that video, it was a lot different than it is now. It was so toxic. It was, I mean, especially the black side. I thought it was horrendous. I'd have to go back and watch that video, that live stream that I made. It was 3 years ago. And I just announced, I was like, don't call me manosphere, black manosphere. This is crazy what's going on. It's evolved since that time in numerous ways, and it has gone way up since I made that video, and it's since just crashed as well. I don't think Orlando. I know Orlando would not consider himself part of the black manosphere. I don't think um, Pocket Watching with JT would consider himself Black Manosphere. I don't think MTR made a video, I think after me, announcing as well, hey man, I'm not in it. Now some of this you say, oh, it's just labels because look at the content, we can have that discussion. But the man, and then you look at, I don't really know all the ins and outs of what happened with Obsidian, but just in my personal opinion, just everything just the beginning of the end for me is when Kevin passed. And which is odd because, I don't want to say too much, but you just ask yourself when the last time you heard Kevin say that he was a part of the Black Manosphere, because I'll just leave it at that, so I just think it's O'Shea got out. O'Shea announced he's out. I think of the founders, I'm not sure what Obsidian's position is if he's still even making content anymore. I know Angry Man is going strong, but he might be he might be the only founder that's still there. So I don't think it's looking good for the space.
All right. Well, I
What
appreciate you,
do you
Lee.
think about
Go
it?
ahead.
Do you consider yourself part of the Black Manosphere?
I don't. I think that
Like hell no.
the content I make is completely different
Mhm.
because I'm trying to stick to the tech lane. I tried to kind of talk about manosphere topics, but then I realized one of the issues is that O'Shea makes a video, and then now everybody else has to make the same type of video or topic, and then they also give the same opinion,
Yeah.
and we just all kind of regurgitate the same thing. And I realized I wanted to be something more focused on tech or something that I am really knowledgeable about, because I tried to make the videos about Benzino or Brittany Renner and the slap with Will Smith, and then I didn't really get much of a positive um, a positive reception. I even remember I would do videos reacting to your content lead, and even though I don't think that you consider yourself Black Manosphere, but I would do reactions to your videos, and then I realized the reception I got was completely different from what I actually wanted. So yeah, that's why I don't really consider myself as a Black Manosphere channel or content creator.
Yeah, man, this person just hit me up and she started making videos and I watched one of them and I was like, what the hell is this? And it was basically like, Melanie King stuff. And I'm like, you're starting a YouTube channel and you're trying to get in on this manosphere stuff. She's like, yeah, what's wrong with that? I was like, man, you
Yep.
came in about 3 years too late. It's just it's rough right now. I don't see how long this is gonna last. Just the environment of it with women having, so much of YouTube's ear and YouTube being so staunch on bullying and, all this and it's not a good space to be attacking.
Yeah, and plus it's
Mhm.
oversaturated. And it's best though. That's why I always support, B2B as well, and people that, focus on something specific or niche. Um, I try to, help them out as much as I can with my platform. Um, just pushing their message as well, especially if it's related to tech, you know what I'm saying? And so the niching down is very important, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not following, because like I said, manosphere content is kind of oversaturated. The people that are there or there. You know, you
Hmm.
need to find your own lane, so to speak. Otherwise, you're just gonna get buried under all the content that's talking about the same topic.
Right. And in addition to that, keep it techie. When Kevin was still alive, he said that the majority, or pretty much the number that he thinks is the Black Manosphere, is around 30K people. 30K
Yeah,
people is what he
I've
said.
heard that too.
What he would say encompasses the Black Manosphere. So
1,000 viewers or content creators?
30,000 people, 30,000 viewers and content creators.
Yeah, and content creators. Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
heard that
Yeah, I had to find the
number
clip
thrown
again,
out
but
there. I've
yeah,
heard it. I've heard it even thrown like, oh, we're all sharing about 10,000, viewers, a lot of all these manosphere channels. But hey, B2B, I just wanted to say right fast.
yeah,
That's why I hopped in really to tell you, hey, I'm gonna catch you on the next one, man. Good talking to your lead. I definitely appreciate, your commentary as well, going um with the thoughts that you put out there as well. I agree with a lot of what you said. So
hmm
Yeah,
appreciate
same
you
here,
coming up
bro.
talking that, and thanks B2B for hosting this and talking about this topic. And
yeah.
I'll catch you guys later.
I
Yes,
appreciate you, keep it
sir.
taking.
No
And
Yeah.
problem.
lead, I do want to make this point too, is that you made it out of Section 8. so you say that all the time, and then
Yeah,
to see
I got
that
lucky.
your platform has grown tremendously since you first started, since I first found you, when you had like a
Hmm.
thousand subscribers.
Oh my God, that was so long ago.
All right. And how much are
Yeah.
you at now? Did you hit the million mark yet?
Oh, no, I think I'm at like 375, something like that. I got a long ways to go. I haven't really been consistent ever since last year. I just kind of only worked like half the month. I didn't even go live. I think I've only been going live like once a week or something like that. I just really been chilling. But once I get over this cold, supposedly I'm gonna hit it hard, but it just never happens. I'm just trying to enjoy my life. I
Hmm.
got a retirement mentality, so it cuts down on the hard work that you need to do to really kind of grow. But I'm in a favorable position in terms of my niche. You're in a tough one, man. I mean, to have a black audience, you're already screwed with a black audience. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, we really have a disadvantage. No one really talks about it, but if you got a black audience versus a white audience, it's just going to be tougher because we're only what 12, 13, 14% of the population anyways. So unless you can cross over, you got a tough road ahead. And then on top of that, you have a very sophisticated niche. So it's not like you're talking to the masses. You can't do really this whole Tasha K bullshit that I can, shuckle and jive on. You have to be a little bit more intellectual and you got a tough niche. And I would imagine the CPM is good and stuff, but it's tough. It's tough. So anytime you're in, the tech niche or the personal finance, credit cards, Bitcoin, all that stuff, it's gonna take more time to grow. You
Mm.
can do it, of course, but it is harder than just making regular BS videos like I do.
Lee, do you have any advice on growing a channel like this? Then
Yeah, you need to stop being cheap and pay these $50 and join the mastermind. I don't know why you ain't in there. It's $50. You
Right.
making 100 grand. You better give me the damn $50. It's like 100 of us in there. Don't join right now, in fact, because I'm moving us all over to school. And in fact, I think, have you heard of school?
I have not.
Okay. Have you heard, do you know who Alex Hormozy is?
You brought him up earlier, but I don't know who that. I've heard that name before, but I don't know who it is.
Do you know who Sam Ovens is?
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
You brought him up as well, but man, I don't
yeah,
know who
look
that
up
is.
Sam Ovens. God, he's a killer.
Let me see.
He, I don't even want to go into his background. Anyway, these two dudes have come together to create a online community. Think of it like Patreon or Locals, but like a million times better. And it's called School. And so I'm moving everything over to School. So I'll announce it when I move over. Hopefully it'll be in the next couple weeks. I'll probably do it for like $45 a month or something like that. But it's just like a super chat. You really need to get around other YouTubers who are doing YouTube and trying to do it well. You hanging around with all these tech people and that's cool, but do you have a community that you belong to that can, answer your YouTube questions, look over your videos, give you feedback, support you in your goals? It's like having two conferences a week every single week for $50 a month. It's like it's insane. I really need to raise some prices. And if I was dealing with a white audience, I could, believe me. Because that damn thing is worth $200 a month, easy. But it's so hard to get black people in there for $50 when it's the best mastermind that is publicly available. There are private masterminds out there. Mr. Beast has his own mastermind. You think we're gonna get in there? Hell no. And there are masterminds you can get into for $250 a month, But in terms of the masterminds that are available for like $50, it's the best mastermind that exists. And it's us. So you need to, take one girl less to Applebee's or Cracker Barrel or what is it? The Cheesecake Factory. Go on and give me your $50. Don't give it to me now. But once I set up this school, I'm really surprised more YouTubers are not in it because it really is an amazing community that we have.
How you doing, lead attorney? It's been a long time, brother. I
What's
see.
up, Chaos Rain? How are you doing?
What's up?
I'm doing well. Well, actually, I'm keeping up. I'm doing my thing. I told you
Awesome.
I monetized. I never
Did you
told
get monetized? Congratulations.
I got
Congratulations.
monetized in May. Yeah, man.
Awesome.
4 year
Congratulations.
journey, but eventually I got up there, man. So it was a long journey. I kept grinding like most people, and I eventually achieved the small goal, and many other things besides everybody works like I do, but I do other things. So but like I said, I just got this out the hump. But like I said, the thing that you have, the course,
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised you're not still selling it for $500. I mean $200. I thought you still selling it up to that point, because people have been buying it and they've been using it. So I'm not sure if you're lowering down for people to still have the opportunity to still go and do YouTube. I mean, I look at this, Lee, right now at the point, it's a choice now. And as times get harder, people have two options. Either they're going to alpha their way for YouTube, or they're going to have to pay something just to figure out how to go through the shortcuts. And eventually they're going to have to do the work. It's one way or the other. There's no in between.
Yeah, and alpha is not a really good way to do it. If you listen to B2B over these past couple of days, he's talking about all of these conferences that he's gone to, and maybe they provide some information. Maybe they provide some networking opportunities, some FaceTime with people, but he's investing into these. Even the ones that are free, he's still, showing up to them. He's still using his time. So
Okay.
to pay $50 now I can understand why someone doesn't want to pay $500 for a course
Mm-hmm.
because it's, in absolute terms, it's a lot of money, right? $500. But for $50 and you go in and you get all of the recorded sessions for the last year and a half, I mean, it's the best deal out there. So sometimes, we don't really think of it like that. But yeah, alphaing your way through stuff when you've got money or when the price is very low, it makes no sense to do
Make
it.
no sense. And
Mhm.
think about it. Think about it. 'Cause I know you start locals. If they pay this $50, I mean, they get to see all the courses from, like I said, from last year. And if they still have questions, I
Wait,
mean, I
wait.
think
You on locals, you don't get to see the courses. Locals, the mastermind on locals is something different. The
okay.
mastermind is we meet twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays for 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours. And we just talk about videos. We talk about the latest happenings on YouTube.
Mm,
Everybody can ask everybody else questions. We've got people in there with one video. We've got people in there who are just starting their channels to people in there who have their play buttons over 100,000 subs, just a variety of different types of channels. Um, just, men, women, everybody's in there. And so, for $50, I really am I don't really promote it. That's the thing. But, it's not like I want 1,000 people in there either because then it wouldn't function. So,
okay. Okay. I see. I see. I see.
but yeah, the courses are, I think the regular price is like 550, but I offer them on
Mhm.
sale a lot of the times for like 350 or something like that. Before the billions, you got my YouTube course?
I do not.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I thought you
well,
did already.
well.
Before, because you've been more in connection with the league for, I think, almost 2 years, hasn't it?
It's been
You think
closer
Yeah.
to 3 now, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was
Yeah.
surprised you take the opportunity because you mostly show yourself on camera. You got everything set up, so you think now you would I mean, be honest, invest in the league. I'm not knocking you
Talk to him, Chaos Ray. Talk to him. Listen, man.
because to be honest with you, when I decided to do this back in 2019, I was doing the podcasting. The YouTube thing is something that I eventually came around it. You get me? And
Yeah.
I know I'm network with enough people, but like I said before, Buzz, you and League are like this, and you think now you're smart. I mean, that's it. I'm not putting you in a spot, but come on, man, you get me?
I'm
I
not
mean,
putting you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot.
no, but let's keep it real because I look at you because you talk about tech, and tech is a very
Oh
clickbait
my God.
and a necessity because this YouTube could use. I will say you should be much further than you are right now, personally, in my opinion, because
Yeah, well, let me say this though, and I did say this before, but before the billions, he's just in a very, very hard niche, man, to get black people interested in tech that are not already interested in tech. Because they're smart people. I feel like I'm a smart guy. I know nothing about computers.
okay.
So his market, the people that are in his pool is just limited. And it's always going to be limited. So, he's at a disadvantage, not him because of who he is or his capabilities as a broadcaster, just his niche alone is very limited. If he wanted to grow faster, he would need to find a way to open it up, which is what I did. I started out, excuse me, talking about child support and
Mhm.
parental alienation. And
Yes.
what am I talking about the last live? I'm talking about Tasha K's titties and stuff like that. I never thought talking about
Them big
Tasha
old
K.
titties.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be talking about Tasha K 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Or breast size or areola size and none of this stuff. But I had to open it up because
Mm.
there is a minority of men that want to sit around all day and talk about child support. You got to open that shit up. And then when I
Mm.
look around at my brother MTR and he's getting millions of views a month talking about Cat Williams and this and that, I'm like, listen, either I'm going to stay faithful to what I want to talk about, or I'm gonna find a way to
But
to make it more widespread.
but
And
but
that's what
Khalid,
B2B needs
let's
to do.
let's
Hmm.
be honest. the market always can decide where content is going to be going, and the people are spoken, and they say, "I want this," so we had to give the people what they want down the line
That's true.
eventually. I mean, at times you
That's
still
what.
got to do the law thing because it's still needed. And I watched your stream for those, and anything I can
Mhm.
catch my what you put on. But at the end of the day, we got to give the people what they want. And much as I don't want to say that, but I tell you, you people, y'all fund up.
Yeah, I mean, you got to people, and that's the thing. It's very few people that are smart and sophisticated enough to want pure tech stuff. People start out like before the billions, and they start out like tech and this and that. And do you know where they end up?
Where
They
they
end
end up.
up reviewing the new iPhone. They end up reviewing the new Apple Vision Pro or whatever that thing is. They end up
Mm-hmm.
reviewing the new MacBook because they have to go broad,
Yeah.
and that's the bridge that before the billions is going to have to cross. You know,
Mm. You're right. You're right.
all the biggest people. That's where they're at.
Mm.
So you gotta sell out a little bit, brother. It's just we all have to do it. We all have to open it up.
You're
I
gonna have
don't
to
want to talk
pivot,
about
my
Tasha K's
brother.
titties all the time, but when I do,
Mm-hmm.
it's 200,000 views on a 3 hour video.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
So,
Chaos Rain, I do have a question for you.
Yes,
all right,
go
well,
ahead.
y'all do that, but let me get out
Yes.
because this is about
All
this
right,
is
thank you,
getting there.
Lee.
Yes,
No
thank you so
problem.
much,
But
Lee.
nice.
Like I said, I'm watching your content, so I see you doing your thing, man. Anytime if I do if anything and I put myself a camera, I don't know, I might pop up one day on your stream again. We'll see.
No problem. And listen, B2B and Chaos Rant, especially B2B, because you've been doing how many videos do you how many live streams do you have
Ooh, I
before
took down a
Thanksgiving?
lot. I wanted to rebrand. Um,
I
Oh,
so
hear you.
I'm kind of closer to like the 15 live streams I have up now, maybe.
okay.
I took down a
15
lot of
live.
live streams. I used to live stream pretty much every day, and had like 200 or 300 of them that I took down, or
Why do you
private, I should say.
why do you feel like you were doing so many and you only have 2,000 subs?
I was doing so many because I wanted to kind of pretty much do what you were doing, Lee. I wanted to
Hmm.
kind of follow what you were doing because you were doing live streams very consistently, long
Hmm.
live streams at that, and we had that whole competition of who can go longer for a live stream.
Yeah, you cheated, right?
And then
God, that was so long ago. You're
it
right.
was. I wanted to be something. I would even wear the suits if you recall.
Yeah.
And I kind of modeled my channel after you, and then I realized later on I was doing so many live streams, and I got burned out, and I
Yeah.
lost focus.
Yeah.
And because
It
I
happens.
lost focus, burned out, and I started neglecting even my own career in real life and some relationships that I've had in real life with my friends and family, that's when I started to kind of dial back from YouTube a little bit because I noticed I wanted to have a more fulfilling life in general,
Mhm.
and not let trying to get more subscribers or followers ruin that. So yeah, that's the reason why I took down. That's the reason why I did so many and why I took them down, and I started to do it a little bit more at a moderate pace.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But you've been doing it for so long. You're so good. Like your setup with OBS and all that stuff, it's better than mine. You just, I mean, honestly, you got a tough niche. I mean, we can absolutely say that. But maybe
Oh,
you
Lee,
you
Lee.
should hold on right quick. You should
Yeah,
think about taking my advanced course. If you email me, I'll email you a 50% off code. So you can take the course 50% off, which is a code that's not out there. And it might help some. But before the billion, let me just tell you, man, there's so much money in this YouTube thing. It's so much money.
Mhm.
Do you know who Vanessa Lau is?
I do not. I look her up, but Vanessa
Yeah,
Lau.
it's huge YouTuber. Yeah, she just came back on. She had quit YouTube a year ago, and she just came back. Was talking about why she quit and everything, and all the money that she was making, and the stress and all that. But if she was just basically saying, if she had not gotten so greedy, she wouldn't have gotten burned out. But she just wanted all the millions. She wanted them all. And it's
Okay.
like, I think Anton came out with a video yesterday, the day before on his Patreon, showing that he made over $1 million on YouTube. Like the money is just crazy. And so you're investing all this time in it, and I know you can do it, but it doesn't make sense for you to go to all these conferences and then not even like to join a mastermind. That's one thing I just don't understand about our community. Like we will spend so much money on this or that, and then for a $50 mastermind on YouTube where we spend so many hours, like, no, I ain't gonna sign up for it. Like, what's the rationale behind that?
Well, Lee, I will add a little bit of context too. Is I go to these the conferences are more so tech conferences to help my network and get new job opportunities because I'm trying to get to the next level with a promotion. Remember, I asked you that question on your live stream a little while, like last year, of how can I progress within my career. I realized that my current employer doesn't have that opportunity for me, so I'm trying to grow. And I go to these conferences for free a lot of the time because I'm a part of a group called Technologies of Color. So I get, I'm really cool with the president there. I've been going there for 4 years now, and I get some privileges by continuing on with them. So that's essentially, so I go for free to these conferences. All I have to do
I
is
didn't
drive.
know that. Okay. Usually I was thinking that you had to pay for all these things.
Man, some of these conferences are $3,000, and I'm blessed
Wait.
enough to be able to get a $3,000 ticket for free.
Wow. That's huge. That is huge. Is that your girl back there in the picture?
Yes.
In the back?
Yes, my new
Awesome. How long you been with her? Is that ain't the Hooters chick now, is it?
one. It is a different one. Lee, if I would have sent you the Hooters chick, never mind. Before I go down this rabbit hole.
Go on and send me the DMs, boy. How long you been with this one?
It's been almost a year.
Wow. How old are you?
So you about to be 29.
I'm 28 right now. About to be 29 later on this year.
And how old is she?
She's 27.
Nice. Where'd y'all meet?
Not bad.
We met at Chipotle.
Chipotle. Boy, you be picking them up at these damn
A
restaurants.
chain
don't you?
food restaurant.
Yeah.
Ain't that something? And they talking about chain food restaurant don't work. Get the hell out of here, man.
Had to
I
do that
love
cold
it.
approach.
The cold approach. All right, that's what's up. Well, all right, listen, man. It's
But-
midnight, so let me get out of this thing.
I want to ask one point question that came to mind.
Yeah.
What's your view on Rumble, Leah Turmica? As you know, the old man is on Rumble now. And if you
Yeah,
heard what
I
happened
was
to
on
him,
Rumble for a year and a half. I had a Rumble contract. So if you got a contract, it's good. If you ain't got no contract, it's tough. My contract expired, and now I don't know how much money I'm making over there. Probably 30 cents or something. So
oh, I see.
yeah.
All right.
So if you got I don't know. Did he get a contract? If he's got a contract, then
Who,
he's
the old man?
uh-huh.
Well, I'm seeing it. He just started putting content on Rumble because he just started it like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. So he has built his thing up again because they took him down on YouTube. One particular woman, but he's not knocking because he's been here before. He's dealt with the people trying to get rid of his channel. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thank y'all so much for having me up here. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Y'all have a good night.
All right,
You
take
too,
care.
Lee.
The lead attorney, right? The lead attorney.
All right.
So what's your question? Before Buzz, come about
Yes,
my little stream in a little bit. Like
Yes. So Chaos Rain, I only have like one question for you. Well, two. The first question is, were you able to catch any of the live stream before Lee came on to see like the original topic
Before on your channel or on lead attorney?
on my channel?
I caught the one earlier when you did this one briefly, and I caught the one yesterday. We had a bunch of men, some I think Gabe or a few of them. They're talking about tech,
Right.
if I can recall. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, mind you, I did not listen to all of it. Let's keep it real with you.
Yeah,
The time, all right. Okay.
And then my last question is, so I'm assuming that you're familiar with the Black Manosphere Conclave that Theo Wolf, Obsidian, and Shannon Rawls
Yes.
ran. And with that, they had some restrictions on the type of person who could attend this conclave, this private meeting, and the restrictions were, well, some of the restrictions were that you had to be red pill, that you had to be Republican, and that you can't not be a Pookie. So essentially, Theo has to
That's
interview you.
interesting. I'm gonna write that down. Give me 1 second, because that was something I had to really have a conversation with the old man, because he's the one that set this thing up. You can't be red pill. I'm gonna write that down right now.
You have to be red pill.
All right.
All right.
You have to be.
But yeah, so he had these types of restrictions. Do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing for these restrictions and for the growth of this conclave?
If that is true, and I can't say, I'm not gonna deny it's not true, because you talked to Fieldwolf personally, or you watched one stream when he talked about it.
Well, yeah, he had an interview.
All right, I would consider that maybe a problem. In regards to Pookie, that could be subjective, and here's why: because someone could be in there with a suit, but you won't know who they were if they in their real life. They could be a Pookie in real life, but you would know because they dress nice. That's one thing. In regards to be Republican, most people, if I know, and we're talking about black folks, majority of black people, as it stands, is fully blue, meaning they're a Democrat, and they're like, what do they call it, liberal, or that weird stuff, these labels, right? So that might be another problem, because most black people, if it's black men, not all black men are gonna be Republican. And the other thing, in regards to red pill, we all know before Bills, we've been around certain sector of YouTube. I've been known a few of these dudes for some time before you came more heavily on YouTube. Most men today, if we talk about black men, a good portion are red pill, some way, fashion. Whether they going for a divorce or a woman burned them, they're gonna have some elements of red pillism. Get me?
All right.
So that's a given. The only thing I find weird is the Republican side and the Pookie, because nowadays there's some dudes. I'll be honest, at least I know in real life, I can't really consider them Pookie. And usually, if they don't want to wear a suit, and obviously that's like a giver, because that's a shield for them. Say, okay, we see you know you're not even dressed properly. They're gonna turn you back and give you money back. That's the deal. If you come in with your what do you call it, Timberland boots, sneakers, jerseys, hat, like like a regular baseball hat, they're gonna turn you around. So, but like I said, I didn't have the conversation with the old man about that. That's something they know that was the requirements.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now,
yeah.
I the other two, especially Republican. I mean, the what you affiliate. I mean, I'm not sure if that really matters, because to be Republican, to be honest with you, you could vote it, but unless you have a business that's employing not a few people, but like hundreds to almost thousands, you're not being a Republican doesn't really suit your interests, regardless if they say you're gonna pay less taxes. The people that really get that, before business, I'm keeping real with you, are people that own Fortune 500 corporations. Because what the first happened when we had the incident? Who got bailed out first?
The corporations.
There you go. And big tech, if you work for some big tech, that's corporate 500 corporations, they would get bailed out first. You know that, right?
Well, yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah. But remember, to really get the brunt of the government, and I think a good book talks about this more detail, was Robert Kiyosaki's friend, that's a CPA. He talks about it, about the breaks. And I don't have the book on me to really tell you what it is, because I gotta dig it up. But he explains more about how to pay less taxes. And trust me, how these dudes moving around, if we gotta be honest, unless you're employing and your business like really thriving and it's there after 5 years, and most business, if you start out, don't survive 5 years nowadays. So if you go for 5 years, you're just starting. And really, to really have some foundation, it's like a decade, really. If you're really in business for 10 years, I mean, this is me. Now, everybody can quote me and disagree. That's fine, but that's how I see it. Don't take my word for it.
Okay. Well, okay, that's right. I mean, that was really the only question that I wanted to kind of ask was, Do you believe it's a good or a bad thing about it? But yeah, I think that overall, I appreciate you for coming up here, answering my question. I know you said you had another live stream coming up.
No,
So
I'm about to do live stream now.
Right.
When I jump off here. It's gonna probably open mic, chop it up. I would, if anybody want to watch, that's optional. But I'm not moderated to this channel, so this is more of a tech channel and a more for your liking to really some decisions to make. I think if you're going to do this YouTube thing, before the billions, you're going to have to think very long and hard how much time you want to invest in this before moving forward. Personally, I do this on the side. You get me? But I have other affairs. Personally, if you're going to do this, you gotta really make the decision. If I'm going to talk about tech, I'm going to have to pivot just to get a certain audience and trying to have to mix in a little bit. So rebranding would make sense. Like you like this is how Before the Billions. It's a fair title. It's not specific unless they go for the description. If people read the description, what it is, but if you didn't really set a foundation with the description of this channel is, you're good. Cause now you could decide how you want to take this channel moving forward. Cause that's actually a name. How many people I know this Before the Billions? Most who make the billions off two things: selling some or some efforty. You get me? I think if you really want to go further in this, I think you might have to mix between both. You get me? And see what works. And like the lead said, he's more deal with law and child support. But at times he's going to have to pivot, talk about this and that, because you got to draw the audience. You want to get a stable audience before anything else. Once you get the audience stable, now everything you could slide it in secretly. That's going to hone into a bigger point. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Because my channel is mostly entertainment, but I have another channel which I'm trying to do some politics and book readings. That's another channel. But if you want to know
Zero Ends.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's another channel, but that's more. I could say more of a serious one. But over here in the Chaos Ring, I try to deal with the effery and entertainment as best as possible. So, but like I said, I separate what I do. I don't try to put everything in one, like I did before in the recent years. If people go on my channel, you can still see some of the interviews I have of people on my channel right now that I didn't create a playlist because I think it's important. But the more people respond in my chat room or in my comment section that I do have it, I might make that a possibility to take some of my streams that I had interviews and play as a playlist. Because I interview a lot of people. I interviewed one woman that wrote a book titled A White Man's Whore. That was my most largest view interview by date.
Was it a black woman?
Yes. Well, a nice, cute black woman, beautiful one. She's in her 40s, very nice, attractive black woman. She was on other people's channels as well, because a lot of dudes were afraid to have the conversation once they found her TikTok talking about she wrote a book about how to become a whore for white men, and a lot of them did not really reach out to really have the interview. I did, and since I did that, there she goes. She's on other people's channels. That's how it is. And mind you, I say I was the best interview, but I'm very effective when it comes to networking. Don't sleep on Chaos Rain. Don't sleep.
I see you all the time, man. And so Chaos Rain, I appreciate you for coming up here, man. And I'll go ahead. I don't want to take up all your time. I know you said you had a live stream that you're about to do now. So for people who are interested in checking out Chaos Rain's live stream, please go ahead.
I mean, if there's moderator, they could put the channel in if they can. I will appreciate it. I mean, I don't got a wrench, so I can't do that. But yeah, y'all know where to find me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Appreciate you, Chaos Rain.
All right, let's get Chaos Rain.
All right. So with that being said, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Shout out to my great panel that I had. So shout out to Keep It Techie, Lead Attorney, and Chaos Rain. Appreciate you all for tuning in as well, for the people who are watching the live stream right now, and also people who are watching the replay. Brief overview is that I believe that when it comes to the Black Manosphere Conclave, Theo Wolf can have whatever restrictions he wants. I do believe that it will hinder him from getting to that goal by having such huge restrictions, but just like how Lead Attorney said, through time he may be able to hit that goal of 300 people. of getting 300 black men into IT or tech related positions. And I remember in one of the point that Lead made, talking about it may hurt his money. I believe that when Theo was talking about money, he does not care about recouping the money. His thing is just getting the message out there to hit that goal. So essentially, he does not care about getting the money back that he invests into the conclaves. He more so just wants more black men who meet his requirements to be able to get into those positions. I do agree with Lead's points on growing a channel, and then also with the fact that, hey, if you don't find that you fit the mold of what Theo was looking for, that you can then create your own channel, such as or mentorship or course like how Keep It Techie or Take G has. So shout out to them. Master IT as well as another person. Professor Black Ops. There are a plethora of people. Citizen Lou. We also have Gabe A, which also in a future live stream that we're going to be doing next week on Monday. I am planning to have Gabe A come in and do a mock interview with me, so that way it can help show how you can better prepare yourself to be able to get a tech job from an actual hiring manager. He said he was cool with interviewing me, and I'm going to be preparing for that interview, so that way I can show you guys how to conduct yourself within an interview. And then also I have some more documentation and statistics and facts around the candidate experience as well, to help you guys better understand how to get a job in IT or in tech. If you want to become a data engineer or get into cybersecurity or any other realm or paradigm in tech, it will help you out tremendously. So with that being said, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And also hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified whenever I make new videos on YouTube. That being said, guys, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I really do appreciate you. I will see you all in the next video. Please also look forward to the next live stream I have, where I'm going to be talking about more tech conferences. Not about the Black Manosphere conference per se, but it's going to be about other conferences, and particularly the Black Tech conferences that are coming up, and that also I've experienced firsthand. And also, please go ahead and hit the link in the chat and also in the description if you want to be able to join the Discord or check out the Before the Billions website, so that way you can speak with me or anybody else within the BTB squad